Every day, a scruffy homeless dog named Max waits patiently at the school gate, capturing the hearts of teachers and students alike, but no one knows the heartbreaking reason behind his vigil. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. When they uncover his story of loyalty and loss, the entire community rallies to reunite Max with the girl he loves, leading to a tear-jerking journey of hope and friendship. Write in the comments where you're watching this video from. Deep within the heart of a lush and vibrant jungle, where the canopy of emerald leaves intertwined with vibrant vines and colorful flowers, a small girl named Lily found herself lost and alone. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the dense foliage, but for Lily, the beauty of the jungle was overshadowed by fear and uncertainty. Just moments ago, she had been exploring this enchanting world with her family, laughing and playing as they marveled at the wonders of nature surrounding them. But in the blink of an eye, she had wandered too far from their path, captivated by the fluttering butterflies and the melodic calls of exotic birds. Now, the laughter of her family felt like a distant memory, swallowed by the sounds of rustling leaves and the occasional distant roar of a wild animal. Lily's heart raced as she sat on the muddy bank of a winding river, her small frame trembling with the weight of her fear. Tears streamed down her cheeks, a cascade of despair as she hugged her knees tightly to her chest. The jungle, once a playground filled with adventure, now felt like an unforgiving labyrinth, each rustle of the leaves amplifying her anxiety. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart, but the overwhelming sense of loneliness pressed down on her like a heavy fog. "Where are you, Mom?" "Dad," she called out, her voice echoing into the vastness, but only silence answered her back. It was as if the jungle had swallowed her cries whole. As she wiped her tears with the back of her hand, she noticed the cool water of the river lapping at her bare feet. It felt soothing against her skin, yet it also reminded her of the danger lurking in the wild. Thoughts of her parents filled her mind, memories of their warm hugs and encouraging words flooding back, giving her a fleeting sense of comfort. But as the shadows of the jungle deepened, a wave of panic washed over her again. She felt so small and insignificant, a mere child lost in the vastness of the world, without anyone to guide her back home. The vibrant colors of the jungle faded into dark hues of anxiety, and the familiar sounds of laughter were replaced by the ominous rustling of unseen creatures. Just as despair began to creep into her heart, Lily caught a glimpse of movement at the edge of the riverbank. Her breath hitched as she turned to see a large crocodile, sunbathing on the mud, its scales glistening under the waning sun. Fear surged through her body, and she instinctively scooted back, her heart pounding in her chest. "Oh no, please don't come any closer," she whispered, feeling the sharp edge of terror rise within her. The crocodile was a formidable creature, its eyes cold and unblinking, and in that moment, she could only imagine the stories of danger that surrounded these predators. Would it see her as prey? Would it come for her? But to her surprise, the crocodile didn't approach aggressively. Instead, it seemed to pause, tilting its head as if trying to understand what the girl was doing there, so helpless and alone. Lily stared at the creature, her heart racing, both terrified and intrigued. In the vast and intimidating jungle, the crocodile felt like a guardian of the waters, and she was nothing more than a frightened child, desperately seeking safety. What was this creature thinking? Did it have a heart? As she continued to observe the crocodile, she noticed the way it moved slowly, its eyes softening as it seemed to assess her condition. It wasn't the fearsome monster she had imagined, but rather a creature that, like her, was merely existing in the unpredictable wilderness. "Please, I just want to go home," she said, her voice trembling as she spoke to the crocodile, feeling a strange urge to reach out for comfort. The creature remained still, its gaze steady, almost as if it understood her plight. Lily couldn't help but wonder if animals could feel emotions too. Maybe, just maybe, the crocodile felt her sadness, her loneliness, and was willing to offer a sense of companionship. Despite her fear, she found herself drawn to the creature. There was something mesmerizing about its calm demeanor in contrast to her chaotic thoughts. As the minutes ticked by, the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the riverbank. Lily wiped her tears again, trying to compose herself. She took a deep breath and, despite the crocodile's fierce reputation, felt a flicker of hope. "Maybe you can help me," she whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe you can help me find my way back." The idea seemed ridiculous. How could a crocodile possibly help her? But in that moment of desperation, she felt a connection forming. The fear she had felt was slowly replaced by a sense of curiosity and the longing for a friend, even if it came in the form of an unlikely ally. Suddenly, the crocodile shifted slightly, its long tail swishing through the mud, and for the first time, Lily felt a sense of safety wash over her. She realized that the creature was not just a predator lurking in the shadows, it was a being, existing in this vast jungle, much like her. In that moment, the boundaries between them began to dissolve. "What's your name?" she asked, as if the crocodile might respond. Of course, it didn't answer, but for Lily, the act of speaking to it was a comfort. She needed someone to talk to, and even if it was just a crocodile, it was better than the crushing silence of the jungle. The world around her faded further as she found solace in the presence of this creature. "I'm Lily," she said softly, as if introducing herself to an old friend. She continued, "I got lost while exploring with my family. I can't find them anywhere. They must be so worried about me." The crocodile continued to watch her, its eyes glimmering in the fading light, and Lily could almost believe it was listening intently. The fear that had paralyzed her earlier began to melt away, replaced by an unexpected companionship. As dusk approached, the sounds of the jungle transformed into a symphony of chirps and rustles, a reminder that life continued around her, even as she felt so isolated. Despite the growing darkness, Lily felt a strange sense of comfort sitting near the crocodile, who seemed to offer an unspoken promise of protection. "I wish I could go home," she murmured, glancing back at the path she had come from, now obscured by shadows. In that moment, she realized that the world was much larger than she had ever known, and she was merely a small girl in an immense and wild landscape. Suddenly, a soft breeze rustled the leaves above, and Lily looked up, half expecting to see her family rushing toward her, calling her name. But the only thing that met her gaze was the vastness of the jungle sky, dotted with twinkling stars that began to appear one by one. The sight took her breath away. It was both beautiful and haunting. She felt so small, yet at the same time, she could sense the adventure that lay ahead. Perhaps this encounter with the crocodile was meant to be. Maybe they were both lost in their own way, seeking connection in a world that felt overwhelmingly lonely. Just then, a loud noise broke through the tranquility, a branch snapping nearby, followed by the sound of rustling leaves. Lily's heart raced once more as she turned to see what it was. Would it be another animal, perhaps something more threatening? The crocodile shifted closer to her, a low growl emanating from its throat, sensing her fear. Lily held her breath, waiting to see what would emerge from the shadows, a mix of dread and curiosity filling her. Would the crocodile protect her again, or was she about to face something even more frightening? Her instincts kicked in, and she scrambled to her feet, ready to flee if necessary. But as the shadows deepened, she realized she had a friend beside her, an unexpected guardian who had chosen to stand by her side. In that moment, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps she wasn't as alone as she thought. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Perhaps this crocodile was here for a reason, and together, they might just find a way through the darkness that surrounded them. As Lily sat trembling by the riverbank, she wiped her tears with the back of her hand, the cool breeze rustling through her tangled hair. She had never felt so alone and frightened in her life. The jungle was both beautiful and terrifying, with its thick foliage casting shadows that danced eerily around her. She could hear the sounds of birds chirping above and the distant rustle of leaves, but those sounds only deepened her sense of isolation. As she hugged her knees to her chest, her heart ached for her family. Where were they? Did they know she was missing? The thought sent another wave of panic through her. Just then, she caught sight of movement out of the corner of her eye. Her heart raced as she turned to see a large shape emerging from the water. At first, her instincts screamed at her to run. She had heard stories about crocodiles lurking in the depths of rivers, waiting for unsuspecting prey. But this crocodile, with its dull green scales glistening in the sunlight, seemed different. It approached cautiously, stopping a few feet away from her. Lily's breath hitched in her throat as she took in its massive jaws and sharp teeth, but something about its demeanor stopped her from fleeing. The crocodile tilted its head, its dark eyes studying her with an intensity that surprised her. Instead of feeling threatened, Lily felt a strange sense of curiosity mixed with a hint of calm. This creature was not rushing toward her with aggression. Instead, it seemed to be observing her, as if it could sense her sadness. Slowly, she began to realize that it was not just an animal, it was a living being with its own emotions, perhaps even its own stories to tell. She could see that the crocodile was not an ordinary predator. It was a creature capable of empathy, a notion that seemed improbable but deeply comforting. "Hey there," Lily whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. She didn't know why she felt compelled to speak to the crocodile, but she found herself doing just that. "I'm lost. I can't find my way home." To her surprise, the crocodile remained still, almost as if it understood her words. She looked into its eyes and saw a glimmer of something. Was it compassion? She couldn't be sure, but the connection felt real. The world around her faded as she poured out her heart, sharing her fears and sorrows. "I was exploring with my family, and then I got separated. I don't know what to do." Lily continued to talk, her words spilling out like a river of emotions. She described her family, her home, and the fun they had together before everything changed. Each word was like a tiny thread, weaving a tapestry of trust between her and the crocodile. Despite her fear, she felt an unexpected bond forming, an understanding that transcended their differences. The jungle no longer felt quite so threatening. In fact, she found solace in the presence of her scaly companion. Charlie, the crocodile, had never interacted with a human like this before. Most people saw him as a fearsome creature, and he was used to being avoided or feared. But Lily's soft voice and vulnerable spirit drew him in. He moved a little closer, his curiosity piqued. As he did, he could sense her loneliness, her desperation for connection. In that moment, Charlie made a decision. He would be her protector, the guardian of this lost girl. As they sat together by the riverbank, the sounds of the jungle seemed to change. The birds chirped a little softer, and the wind rustled the leaves more gently. For the first time, Lily felt a flicker of hope. She looked at Charlie and smiled, her fear slowly dissipating. "Thank you for being here," she said, her voice trembling but sincere. "You're not like the other crocodiles, are you?" Charlie tilted his head again, as if to say, "No, I'm not." He felt a connection to this girl, an unspoken understanding that went beyond words. She was scared and alone, and he could relate to that feeling. In the depths of the jungle, he too often felt isolated, misunderstood by those who saw him only as a monster. But with Lily, things felt different. She saw him for who he was, not just as a creature to be feared. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the trees, and both Lily and Charlie jumped. The noise was startling, breaking the peaceful moment they had shared. Lily's heart raced as she looked around, her anxiety creeping back. What was that? Her instincts told her to be afraid, and she instinctively scooted back, trying to distance herself from the unknown. Charlie, however, remained alert, his eyes scanning the underbrush for any signs of danger. "Stay close," he seemed to communicate silently, and Lily took comfort in the strength of the creature beside her. As the rustling grew louder, she clutched her knees again, her mind racing with possibilities. Could it be a wild animal? A predator? Or something even more frightening? The jungle was full of surprises, both beautiful and dangerous. Just then, a wild boar burst through the bushes, snorting and searching for food. Its eyes were wild, and it appeared aggressive, ready to charge at anything that crossed its path. Lily's heart sank as she realized the potential danger she was in. The boar spotted her and froze, its eyes narrowing as it assessed whether she was a threat or a meal. Panic surged through Lily. She was too frightened to move, too paralyzed to scream. All she could do was look to Charlie, her newfound friend and protector. To her amazement, Charlie sprang into action, positioning himself between Lily and the boar. He let out a low growl, his powerful body ready to defend the girl who had shown him kindness. Lily watched in awe as Charlie faced the boar, his confidence radiating like a shield. This wasn't just a crocodile, this was a guardian, fiercely protective of her safety. The boar snorted angrily, and for a moment, it seemed as though a battle was imminent. Charlie stood his ground, his muscles tense and ready to spring into action if necessary. "Please be okay, Charlie," Lily whispered, her heart racing as she felt the weight of the moment. The wild boar lunged, and Charlie reacted in an instant, lunging toward the boar with surprising agility for such a large creature. It was a clash of strength, and Lily held her breath, watching the display of courage unfold before her eyes. In a fierce display, Charlie and the boar engaged in a wild struggle. Lily could hardly believe what she was witnessing. The crocodile used his powerful jaws and quick movements to distract the boar, pushing it back with surprising force. The air crackled with tension as the two animals battled it out, each one determined to assert its dominance. Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she realized that this crocodile was fighting not just for himself but for her. She felt a surge of gratitude mixed with fear. "You can do it, Charlie," she shouted, her voice trembling but filled with hope. She couldn't just stand there, she had to believe in him. The fight continued, and after a few moments that felt like an eternity, the boar began to back off, sensing that it was no match for the determined crocodile. With one final growl, Charlie managed to scare the boar away, and it retreated into the underbrush, snorting in frustration. Breathless, Charlie turned to Lily, his sides heaving with exertion. He was injured, a few scratches visible on his tough hide, but he seemed proud, almost triumphant. Lily rushed to his side, her heart swelling with admiration. "You did it! You saved me," she exclaimed, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. As she examined Charlie's wounds, her heart ached for the creature that had fought for her safety. "I'm so sorry you got hurt because of me," she said softly, gently touching his snout. "I wish I could help you." In that moment, she realized that their bond had deepened. They were not just a lost girl and a crocodile, they were friends, connected by their shared experiences and the understanding that they would protect one another. Charlie looked at her, his eyes filled with a quiet strength, and she felt a flicker of hope return. Together, they could navigate this wild jungle, facing whatever challenges lay ahead. Lily promised herself that she wouldn't leave Charlie's side. They were in this together, no matter what dangers awaited them. The world around them had shifted, the jungle that once felt hostile now seemed like a place of possibility. With Charlie by her side, Lily felt a sense of courage awakening within her. She took a deep breath and smiled, knowing that she wasn't alone anymore. The bond they formed would help them both survive and thrive in this wild, unpredictable world. And as they settled back by the river, the sounds of the jungle transformed into a symphony of hope, a reminder that even in the most unexpected circumstances, friendship and bravery could light the way. Together, Lily and Charlie were ready to face whatever came next, knowing that their journey had just begun. As Lily sat on the muddy riverbank, her heart heavy with loneliness and fear, she took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. The sound of the jungle surrounded her, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the gentle flow of the river. Yet, despite the beauty of the natural world, all she felt was the weight of her situation pressing down on her. She had never been so far from home, and the warmth and comfort of her family felt like a distant memory. Looking at Charlie, the crocodile who had approached her, she began to feel a sense of connection. His large eyes, which had initially frightened her, now seemed to reflect something deeper, curiosity and perhaps empathy. There was something about the way he tilted his head, as if he were genuinely trying to understand her. She could see the scars on his rough skin, remnants of battles fought and survived, and in that moment, she realized he wasn't just a creature of the jungle, he was a survivor, much like herself. "Hey there, big guy," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't mean to scare you. I'm just lost." She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, taking a small step closer. Charlie didn't move, but his eyes remained fixed on her, unblinking and attentive. Encouraged by his calm demeanor, Lily continued to speak. "I don't know how I got here. I was with my family, and then I wandered off to explore. I thought I could find my way back, but she let her voice trail off, the weight of her predicament sinking in again. Lily found herself pouring out her heart to the crocodile, sharing stories of her family, her home, and the games she played with her friends. I miss my mom and dad, she said, her voice cracking. They must be worried sick about me. As she spoke, she noticed Charlie moving slightly closer, his body relaxing as if he could sense her vulnerability. I bet they're looking for me right now, she continued, a hint of hope creeping into her words. I just want to go home. Incredibly, Lily felt as though she could trust Charlie. There was an unspoken bond forming between them, forged in their mutual solitude. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing against his snout. To her surprise, Charlie didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned into her touch, almost as if he welcomed it. The warmth of his body under her fingertips offered her a strange comfort. You're not so scary after all, are you? She whispered with a small smile, her fear dissipating just a little. Time seemed to stand still as they shared this moment of understanding. The jungle faded into the background, and it was just Lily and Charlie, two unlikely friends united by circumstance. In a world where danger lurked around every corner, they found solace in each other's company. Lily marveled at how a creature she had been taught to fear could bring her such peace. You're brave, she told Charlie, her voice full of sincerity. You faced that boar like a champion. I wish I could be as brave as you. Charlie, with his rough, scaly exterior, seemed like a fierce guardian, ready to protect her from the perils of the jungle. Lily felt a surge of gratitude for him, a creature so often misunderstood and feared. Maybe you can help me find my way back, she suggested, her spirit lifting at the thought. If you can stand up to a boar, maybe you can help me find my family too. The idea of Charlie guiding her through the jungle sparked a flicker of hope in her heart. As the afternoon sun filtered through the leaves above, casting dappled shadows on the ground, Lily took a moment to collect her thoughts. She knew that the jungle could be treacherous, filled with hidden dangers. But with Charlie by her side, she felt a sense of courage she hadn't had before. What do you think? She asked, looking into Charlie's eyes. Do you think you could help me? The crocodile tilted his head, as if contemplating her question. Lily giggled softly at the sight. She imagined Charlie weighing his options, deciding whether to take on the responsibility of guiding a little girl through the jungle. Feeling a rush of determination, Lily stood up and dusted off her clothes. All right, let's do this, she exclaimed, feeling empowered by their newfound friendship. She looked at Charlie, who remained seated, watching her with an intensity that made her heart swell. I'll call you Charlie, she said, as if naming him would solidify their bond. You know, like Charlie the crocodile, my brave protector. She laughed at the thought, picturing a storybook about a girl and her crocodile companion. The image made her feel lighter, as if she had taken a step toward a new adventure. Lily began to walk along the riverbank, glancing back to see if Charlie would follow. To her delight, he slid into the water, his powerful tail propelling him forward. As he swam alongside her, Lily felt a rush of excitement. They were embarking on a journey together, and for the first time since she had gotten lost, she felt hopeful. This is going to be an adventure, Charlie, she called out, her voice bright and full of enthusiasm. We're going to find my family. As they traveled along the riverbank, Lily noticed the vibrant life surrounding them. The jungle was alive with sounds, the calls of exotic birds, the rustling of small animals in the underbrush, and the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. The beauty of it all began to take her mind off her fear. With Charlie by her side, she felt like she was exploring a magical world rather than wandering aimlessly through a daunting wilderness. Every so often, Lily would pause to look back at Charlie, who swam effortlessly through the water, his eyes focused on her. It was as if he was guarding her every step, making sure she was safe. The bond between them deepened with each passing moment, and she began to feel a sense of responsibility for him as well. I'll keep you safe too, Charlie, she promised, her heart swelling with affection. We're in this together. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the jungle, Lily felt a twinge of sadness. She knew that night would bring new challenges, and she couldn't help but worry about what dangers might lurk in the shadows. But looking at Charlie, she felt reassured. "We'll find a place to rest soon, won't we?" she asked him, her voice filled with hope. The crocodile bobbed his head slightly, as if to agree. Lily spotted a large rock outcrop along the riverbank that looked like it could provide shelter. "There," she pointed excitedly. "That looks perfect for us." She hurried toward the rock, and Charlie followed, climbing out of the water and settling down beside her. They found a cozy nook where they could sit together, sheltered from the evening chill. As darkness enveloped the jungle, the sounds of night came alive. The croaking of frogs, the chirping of crickets, and the distant rustle of creatures moving through the underbrush filled the air. Lily leaned against the cool rock, and despite the unfamiliar surroundings, she felt a sense of peace settle over her. "This isn't so bad, is it?" she murmured to Charlie, who rested his head on his front legs, watching her with steady eyes. The bond they had formed was undeniable, and Lily realized how important Charlie had become to her in such a short time. "You're my friend now," she declared softly. "And friends look out for each other." In that moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the crocodile, who had stepped in to protect her when she needed it most. She knew that without him, she might have felt utterly alone in the vast jungle. As the stars twinkled above, Lily closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of friendship wrap around her like a comforting blanket. She drifted into a light sleep, dreaming of her family and the adventures she would share with Charlie once they found their way home. In her dreams, they explored magical lands together, fought off wild beasts, and created stories that would be told for generations. But deep down, she knew the most important adventure was the one they were on right now, finding her way back to safety, together. Charlie kept a watchful eye, protecting his new friend as she rested. He had never imagined that a chance encounter could lead to such a profound connection. The girl had touched something deep within him, awakening instincts he didn't know he had. He felt a sense of purpose, a responsibility to keep Lily safe. And as the jungle hummed around them, he knew that this was only the beginning of their extraordinary journey together. From the dense underbrush emerged a wild boar, its bristly fur glistening in the dappled sunlight filtering through the jungle canopy. The creature, aggressive and hungry, sniffed the air, its beady eyes scanning the surroundings for an easy meal. It was an imposing sight, with sharp tusks jetting from its mouth and muscles rippling beneath its skin as it moved with a sense of purpose. For Lily, the sight of the boar ignited a rush of fear deep in her stomach. She had heard stories from her parents about how dangerous wild boars could be, especially when cornered or threatened. Her heart raced as she instinctively froze, her mind racing with thoughts of escape, but there was nowhere to run. The jungle seemed to close in around her, and she felt utterly trapped. As the boar drew closer, its low grunts echoing ominously through the trees, Charlie the crocodile instinctively positioned himself between Lily and the approaching danger. The calm demeanor he had shown earlier was replaced with a fierce intensity, his muscles tensing as he prepared for a confrontation. He growled deep in his throat, a sound that rumbled like distant thunder, and showcased his impressive array of sharp teeth. In that moment, Charlie transformed from a passive observer into a guardian, ready to defend the girl who had shown him kindness. Lily's breath hitched in her throat, a mixture of terror and awe coursing through her. She had never witnessed such bravery before, especially not from a creature many considered a fearsome predator. Charlie's presence gave her a flicker of hope, a belief that perhaps she would not have to face this danger alone. The boar, sensing the threat posed by the crocodile, snorted angrily and lowered its head, preparing to charge. Lily could see the muscles in its back legs coiling, ready to spring into action. The air crackled with tension, and she held her breath, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a drum. "Charlie, be careful," Lily whispered, her voice trembling as she felt the weight of the moment. It was a plea that reflected her fear for both herself and the crocodile. As the boar charged, its hooves thudding against the ground, Charlie stood his ground. With a fierce roar, he lunged at the boar, snapping his powerful jaws just inches away from the creature's flank. The boar skidded to a halt, surprised by the ferocity of the crocodile. It quickly recalibrated its attack, charging at Charlie again, but this time the crocodile was ready. With a swift motion, Charlie swung his massive tail, catching the boar off guard and sending it stumbling sideways. The encounter was like a primal dance, both creatures powerful in their own right. Lily could hardly believe her eyes as she watched Charlie defend her, a mix of fear and admiration swirling in her heart. She had always seen crocodiles as terrifying beasts lurking in the waters, but now he was her protector, fighting for her safety. The boar, realizing it was outmatched, tried to back away, but Charlie wasn't finished. He surged forward, determination fueling his every movement. Lily's heart raced as the battle unfolded before her. She felt helpless, rooted to the spot as her instinct to flee battled with her desire to stay and support Charlie. She wanted to yell out encouragement, to tell him how brave he was, but the words stuck in her throat. All she could do was watch as the crocodile and the boar clashed, a primal conflict fueled by instinct and survival. With each move, Lily sensed the weight of their fight. It was a clash not just for her safety but for the bond they had begun to forge. As Charlie engaged with the boar, he used every ounce of strength he had. He lunged and snapped, and when the boar charged again, he pivoted gracefully, using his body as a shield for Lily. Each powerful swipe of his tail and each lunge of his jaws was a testament to his commitment to keep her safe. The boar, now clearly agitated and frustrated, seemed to realize that it had underestimated the crocodile. "Charlie, you can do it!" Lily finally managed to shout, her voice rising above the chaos. Her words, though simple, were filled with hope and faith. She believed in Charlie's strength and courage, and she knew that together, they could face any challenge. With her support, Charlie roared in response, a sound of defiance and determination that echoed through the jungle. He pushed forward again, using his powerful legs to propel himself out of the water and onto the bank, intimidating the boar further. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity, both creatures locked in a contest of will and survival. Charlie was agile, using his size and strength to outmaneuver the boar, while the wild animal lunged and retreated, trying to find an opening. The ground beneath them churned into a muddy mess, and the sounds of their struggle echoed through the trees, a wild cacophony of grunts and growls. Just when it seemed like the boar would gain the upper hand, Charlie made a decisive move. With a fierce snap of his jaws, he caught the boar's flank, clamping down with a force that made the creature squeal in pain. The boar thrashed violently, trying to escape Charlie's grasp, but the crocodile held on, refusing to let go. Lily could feel her heart racing, not just from fear, but from admiration for Charlie's bravery. As the struggle continued, the jungle seemed to hold its breath, the vibrant colors of the leaves and flowers contrasting sharply with the brutal reality of nature's fight for survival. Charlie's movements were fluid and determined, a dance of raw power and instinct. Lily watched, her emotions a whirlwind of fear, admiration, and a deepening bond with this extraordinary creature who had chosen to protect her. But the confrontation couldn't last forever. The boar, realizing that it was losing the battle, finally managed to shake Charlie off. It stumbled back, snorting in frustration and anger, then turned to escape into the thick underbrush. Charlie, panting heavily, released a triumphant roar, a sound of victory that echoed through the trees. He had defended Lily successfully, proving that even the fiercest creatures could have a heart filled with courage and loyalty. Lily felt a surge of relief wash over her as the boar disappeared into the jungle. She rushed to Charlie's side, her heart swelling with gratitude and awe. "You did it, Charlie. You scared it away," she exclaimed, reaching out to touch his snout. In that moment, she felt a deep connection with the crocodile, a bond forged through shared fear and the instinct to protect one another. Charlie looked at her with his deep, intelligent eyes, and she could see that he understood her words. But as the adrenaline of the confrontation faded, Lily noticed something troubling. Charlie had sustained injuries during the battle. A deep scratch marred his side, and he was breathing heavily, the exertion taking its toll on him. "Oh no, Charlie, you're hurt," she cried, her heart sinking at the sight of his wound. She felt a pang of guilt for putting him in harm's way, but in her heart, she knew he had acted out of instinct and bravery. Lily quickly surveyed their surroundings for something to help. She spotted some broad, green leaves nearby and hurried to gather them. "I need to help you," she whispered as she tore the leaves into strips, her hands shaking with worry. Charlie watched her with calm eyes, and she could see the trust in his gaze. She carefully approached him, using the leaves to create a makeshift bandage, her fingers trembling as she tried to wrap it around his wound. "Hold still, Charlie," she said softly, trying to soothe him. He remained still, his large body relaxing as she tended to him, and for a moment, it felt like they were working together as a team, two unlikely friends fighting against the odds. As she worked, she whispered encouragement, telling him how brave he was and how thankful she was for his protection. Once she finished, Lily stepped back to assess her handiwork. The leaves weren't perfect, but they were better than nothing. Charlie seemed to understand the effort she had put into helping him, and he nudged her gently with his snout, a silent acknowledgement of their bond. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lily realized how close they had come to danger. She took a deep breath, knowing that they had faced a terrifying moment together. But now, it was time to move forward, to find a way back to safety. "We should get out of here, Charlie," she said, glancing around at the jungle that felt both beautiful and threatening. But as she prepared to leave, she caught a glimpse of the setting sun reflecting on the river's surface. It shimmered like a golden pathway, and she felt a sense of calm wash over her. With Charlie by her side, she knew they could find their way. "Come on, let's stick together," she said, her voice steady now, filled with newfound courage. Together, they ventured deeper into the jungle, a girl and her crocodile companion, bound by a shared experience and a promise to protect one another. The world around them seemed to fade away, and in that moment, nothing else mattered but their friendship and the journey that lay ahead. In the quiet of the jungle, where the lush greenery mingled with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant animal calls, an unexpected tension crackled in the air. Lily, her heart pounding in her chest, had never felt so vulnerable. The wild boar, with its bristling hair and fierce eyes, emerged from the underbrush like a dark shadow. Its snout sniffed the air, catching the scent of something it deemed a potential meal. Lily's breath hitched in her throat, and her instinct was to freeze, to remain silent and still as she had learned from countless nature documentaries. But she was not in the safety of her home. She was alone, vulnerable, and terrified. As the boar locked its gaze onto her, Lily felt a surge of panic. It charged toward her with a loud grunt, its massive body hurtling forward, hooves pounding against the ground. Just when she thought she was about to be caught in its path, Charlie the crocodile sprang into action. With a speed that belied his size, he moved between Lily and the oncoming threat, his scales glistening in the dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy above. The sight of Charlie, fierce and protective, filled Lily with a mix of fear and admiration. Here was this creature, a crocodile, one she had initially viewed with apprehension, now acting as her guardian. "Charlie, be careful," she shouted, her voice a mix of fear and hope. She knew that Charlie was not just any crocodile, he was her unlikely friend, and he had just taken on a dangerous foe. The boar came to an abrupt stop, taken aback by the sudden appearance of the crocodile. Charlie stood tall, hissing and growling, his body poised and ready for the fight. In that moment, the jungle seemed to hold its breath, watching this showdown between the ferocious boar and the unexpected hero. The boar, not one to back down easily, charged again, its tusks gleaming like daggers. Charlie responded instinctively, his powerful jaws snapping in the air, warning the boar to stay back. Lily watched in awe as Charlie lunged forward, using his massive tail to swipe at the boar, sending it stumbling back into the underbrush. Each movement was fluid, showcasing the crocodile's strength and agility, traits Lily had never considered before. She had always thought of crocodiles as lazy reptiles, lounging in the sun, but now she saw a different side of Charlie, one that was fierce and brave. As the battle ensued, Lily's heart raced, torn between fear for both Charlie and herself. The jungle around them was filled with the sounds of their struggle, the thrashing of the underbrush, the growls of Charlie, and the frantic grunts of the boar. Lily felt helpless, rooted to the spot, unsure of what she could do to assist her protector. But she knew she had to remain calm. This was a moment that would define her and Charlie's bond. He was risking everything for her safety, and she had to believe he could win this fight. The boar, now enraged and desperate, charged once more, its beady eyes fixed on Charlie. This time, the crocodile stood his ground, waiting for the right moment. As the boar drew closer, Charlie ducked low, using the element of surprise. With a powerful bite, he caught the boar's leg, a move that sent the animal squealing in pain. The sound echoed through the jungle, a harsh reminder of the fight unfolding. Lily gasped, her heart in her throat, as she witnessed the ferocity of the crocodile she had come to admire. In that moment of chaos, Lily felt a rush of emotions, fear, gratitude, and a profound connection to Charlie. She couldn't help but cheer him on. "You can do it, Charlie." "Fight," she yelled, her small voice filled with determination. It was as if her words fueled his strength. Charlie's grip on the boar tightened as he wrestled with it, showing his true might. The struggle felt endless, but every second seemed to stretch into eternity. But the boar was not going to give up without a fight. With a powerful heave, it broke free from Charlie's grasp, and for a moment, both animals stood facing each other, panting heavily. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, and Lily felt a chill run down her spine. Would Charlie be able to protect her? The tension was palpable. She wanted to run to safety, but she couldn't leave Charlie alone to face the boar. Then, as if sensing her fear, Charlie turned to look at her, his eyes filled with a fierce determination. He wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for her too. In that brief moment of connection, Lily felt a surge of hope. Charlie, despite being a crocodile, had become her protector, her friend. She could see it in the way he held his head high, ready to confront whatever came next. The boar, sensing its chance, charged again. This time, it aimed for Lily, trying to flank Charlie. Fear gripped her heart as she realized that Charlie was still too focused on the boar to notice her predicament. "Charlie," she screamed, her voice echoing in the jungle. "Watch out!" In a flash, she grabbed a nearby stick and waved it, trying to get the boar's attention. But it was too late. The boar barreled toward her, and just when it seemed she was in its path, Charlie reacted instinctively. With a powerful leap, he positioned himself between Lily and the boar, and in a fierce display of strength, he lunged at the boar's snout. The impact echoed like thunder, and Lily watched in awe as the ferocious crocodile clamped down hard, holding the boar at bay. The boar squealed and thrashed, trying to escape Charlie's powerful grip. The struggle intensified, with the sounds of snapping jaws and grunting animals reverberating through the jungle. Charlie's determination was unwavering. He was committed to defending Lily at all costs. Despite the danger, she felt a swell of admiration for the crocodile, who was proving to be so much more than she had ever imagined. As the fight raged on, Lily saw Charlie begin to tire. His movements slowed, and the boar, sensing an opening, bucked wildly, trying to shake free. Lily's heart sank as she watched Charlie struggle against the boar's might. "Come on, Charlie. You can do it," she encouraged, her voice trembling with emotion. In that moment, Charlie seemed to hear her. Summoning every ounce of strength left in him, he let out a mighty roar, more than just a sound of aggression, it was a call to rally. The boar hesitated, momentarily taken aback by Charlie's fierce display. Seizing the opportunity, Charlie lunged forward with renewed vigor, and with a powerful twist of his body, he managed to flip the boar onto its side. Lily's heart soared as she realized that Charlie had gained the upper hand. The crocodile, despite his injuries and fatigue, was fighting with everything he had. The sight of him standing tall against the boar, with his powerful jaws clamped down, was awe-inspiring. She had never imagined that a crocodile could be such a fierce protector, and the bond they shared in that moment solidified her faith in him. Just as Charlie secured his grip, a loud rustling in the underbrush caught Lily's attention. She turned to see other animals watching the spectacle, some from a safe distance, their eyes wide with surprise. The jungle was alive with spectators, a testament to the extraordinary showdown unfolding. The tension reached a breaking point, and in a final desperate attempt, the boar thrashed wildly, trying to break free from Charlie's hold. Lily couldn't watch anymore. She knew this was the moment of truth. "Charlie, you can do it," she cried out, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her heart ached for both the crocodile and the boar, but she understood that this fight was about survival. Just then, with a final surge of strength, Charlie clamped down harder, forcing the boar to submit. The boar finally relented, letting out a defeated grunt before retreating into the underbrush, leaving behind only the sound of rustling leaves and heavy breaths. Charlie stood victorious, but he was not unscathed. He turned slowly to Lily, his eyes showing the signs of exhaustion. Despite the fierce battle, he had protected her, and for that, she would always be grateful. With tears of relief and gratitude, Lily ran to Charlie, wrapping her arms around his scaly neck. "Thank you, Charlie. You were amazing," she cried, her voice filled with emotion. The bond between them had been forged in the heat of battle, and she realized that Charlie was not just a crocodile, he was her friend, her protector, and her hero. In that moment, Lily knew they had faced the unimaginable together. The jungle was still and quiet now, as if it too had been holding its breath during the encounter. But within her, a new sense of strength began to blossom. Together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead, their connection deepened by the extraordinary bond they had formed through their fight for survival. As the sunlight filtered through the canopy above, casting a warm glow around them, Lily and Charlie shared a moment of quiet understanding. They were two unlikely companions, each having found solace in the other amidst the wild uncertainties of the jungle. In the depths of her heart, Lily felt a newfound sense of courage blossoming. They were not just survivors, they were partners, united in their adventure. As they sat together on the riverbank, the world around them slowly returned to its normal rhythm. The jungle, once filled with tension, now seemed vibrant and alive again. Birds chirped in the distance, and the soft rustle of leaves whispered a gentle reminder of nature's resilience. Lily realized that no matter what lay ahead, she and Charlie would face it together, and she knew in her heart that their journey was just beginning. As the dust settled and the sounds of the jungle returned to their usual symphony, Lily knelt beside Charlie, her heart pounding in her chest. The fierce battle between the crocodile and the wild boar had left its mark. Charlie lay on the muddy bank, breathing heavily, with a few deep scratches along his side and one of his front legs awkwardly positioned. Lily's stomach churned with concern as she took in the sight of her brave protector, who had fought valiantly for her safety. "Charlie," she whispered, her voice trembling with worry. The crocodile raised his head slightly, his dark eyes meeting hers. Despite his injuries, he seemed to sense her presence and let out a low, soft sound, almost like a reassuring grunt. In that moment, she knew that he was still strong and that their bond had only deepened through the ordeal. She felt a mix of gratitude and anguish. He had put himself in danger for her, and now it was her turn to help him. Lily quickly scanned the surrounding area for anything that could help treat Charlie's wounds. The jungle was alive with sounds, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant calls of exotic birds, and the hum of insects. But Lily was focused, her mind racing. She remembered her father telling her about certain plants in the jungle that had healing properties. There was a specific type of leaf that he had shown her during one of their hikes, a broad green leaf that could be used to help clean cuts and scrapes. It grew near the water's edge. With determination, she stood up and hurried toward the riverbank, glancing back at Charlie to make sure he was still there. He watched her with an intensity that gave her strength. She felt a connection to him that was unbreakable, a shared experience that had bonded them in ways she couldn't fully articulate. Each step she took felt like a promise to him that she wouldn't abandon him, that she would do everything in her power to help him heal. As she reached the water's edge, Lily spotted the leaves she was looking for, their wide surfaces gleaming in the dappled sunlight. She carefully plucked several leaves and returned to Charlie, feeling a sense of purpose. "I'm going to help you, I promise," she said, kneeling beside him again. She placed the leaves in front of him, inspecting his injuries more closely. The cuts on his side looked deep, and he flinched when she lightly touched the area around them. "Okay, I need to be careful," Lily murmured, her heart aching for him. She didn't know exactly what to do, but she remembered how her mother had always cleaned her scrapes when she fell. She gathered a few more leaves and began to gently clean the dirt and grime from the cuts, using the soft green leaves to dab at the wounds. "Hold on, Charlie," she whispered, "you're going to be okay." With each delicate movement, she felt a surge of affection for the crocodile who had protected her. He had risked everything, and now he was relying on her, a small girl, to help him in his time of need. After she cleaned the cuts, Lily knew she had to do more. Her father had always carried a small first aid kit when they explored the jungle, but now it was just her and Charlie. The realization hit her hard. She didn't have the proper supplies, but she would make do with what she had. She wrapped the leaves around the worst of Charlie's cuts, hoping they would provide some relief. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. "Just hang in there, I'll be right back," she said, trying to sound brave. With that, she stood up and glanced back toward the direction her family had gone, the voices of her parents still echoing in her mind. They had been calling her name, their tones laced with concern. "I have to let them know I'm okay, and then I'll come back," she promised Charlie, who seemed to understand. Taking a deep breath, she raced back through the underbrush, following the familiar path she had taken before. The vibrant green foliage of the jungle enveloped her, the air thick with humidity and the scent of earth and leaves. She could hear the distant sound of her parents calling her, their voices filled with worry, and her heart ached at the thought of them feeling scared. "Mom! Dad!" she yelled, her voice ringing through the trees. She burst into a small clearing where her parents were searching, their faces filled with a mix of relief and panic. "Lily," her mother exclaimed, rushing toward her and enveloping her in a tight embrace. "We were so worried." I'm okay," Lily reassured them, pulling back to see the worried looks on their faces. "I found a crocodile. His name is Charlie, and he needs help." The words rushed out of her as she explained everything that had happened, the boar, the fight, and how Charlie had protected her. "Wait, a crocodile? Are you sure it's safe?" her father asked, concern etched across his brow. Lily could see the protective instincts kicking in, and she knew they were only worried about her safety. "He is safe. He helped me," Lily insisted, her heart pounding with urgency. "He's hurt, and I need your help to take care of him. Please." Her parents exchanged glances, weighing the situation. They could see the determination in Lily's eyes, the connection she felt with the crocodile. Finally, her mother sighed and nodded. "All right, let's go help him. But we need to be careful, and you must stay close to us." With renewed hope, Lily led her parents back through the jungle, retracing her steps. As they approached the riverbank, Lily felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. She wanted to make sure Charlie was okay, but she also felt a surge of protectiveness for him. When they arrived at the bank, Charlie was still there, lying on the ground, but now lifting his head slightly as he heard their footsteps. "See? There he is," Lily exclaimed, rushing to Charlie's side. "Charlie, I brought my parents to help you." Her father knelt down next to the crocodile, examining his injuries with a mix of curiosity and caution. "He looks like he fought hard," he said, a hint of admiration in his voice. "We'll need to clean his wounds properly." Lily felt a wave of relief wash over her as her father reached into his backpack, pulling out a small first aid kit that he always carried during their adventures. "I knew I'd need this someday," he said with a slight smile, and Lily felt her heart lift at the sight of the familiar red and white box. As her father took out antiseptic wipes and gauze, Lily watched intently. She was so grateful that Charlie would receive the care he needed. Her mother gently placed her hand on Charlie's back, speaking softly to him. "You're going to be okay, big guy. We're here to help." Together, they carefully cleaned the wounds, using the antiseptic wipes to cleanse the area around each cut. Charlie remained still, seeming to trust Lily and her family. He let out soft whimpers, but there was no aggression in him, only a sense of understanding as he lay there, accepting their help. Lily's heart swelled with pride as she watched her parents work together to care for Charlie. "He protected me," she said quietly, her voice filled with emotion. "He was so brave." Her father nodded, glancing at Lily. He's a fighter, just like you, Lily. You both faced a dangerous situation and came out stronger. As they finished bandaging Charlie's wounds, Lily couldn't help but feel a sense of joy. She had formed an unbreakable bond with this crocodile, and now her family was joining in that connection. She looked at Charlie, who was gazing back at her, his eyes softening. In that moment, she realized that their friendship had grown beyond words. It was a deep understanding, a mutual respect formed through shared experiences. Now what do we do? Her mother asked, looking at Charlie with concern. We can't just leave him here like this. Lily's mind raced with possibilities. Can we take him with us? I can help care for him at home, she suggested eagerly, her eyes shining with excitement. Her father exchanged a glance with her mother, and after a moment, he nodded slowly. It's worth considering, but we need to ensure it's safe for everyone. We can't just move him without checking if it's right. They spent the next few moments discussing their options, weighing the pros and cons of taking Charlie home. Lily's heart raced with anticipation, her desire to keep Charlie safe burning brightly. He deserves a chance, just like I did, she insisted, her voice filled with passion. Finally, her parents agreed to let Charlie come home with them, but they would first ensure that he was healthy enough for the transition. We'll take him to a vet, her father said firmly. They'll know what to do. Lily felt tears of joy welling in her eyes. Thank you. Thank you, she exclaimed, throwing her arms around both her parents. As they prepared to move Charlie, he lifted his head and let out a soft grunt, as if he understood their conversation. With care, they helped him to his feet, supporting him as he stood on his strong legs. Charlie may have been injured, but his spirit was still alive, and Lily knew he would thrive with the right love and care. Together, they made their way back through the jungle, a newfound sense of family and friendship binding them together. Lily walked beside Charlie, whispering words of encouragement as they ventured toward a new beginning for both of them. Charlie was not just a crocodile, he was her protector, her friend, and now, he was part of their family. As they stepped out of the dense jungle and into the sunlight, Lily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The bond they had formed was unexpected, but it was powerful. She knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, Lily, her family, and Charlie, the brave crocodile who had saved her life. Lily's heart raced as she recognized the familiar voices calling her name, their sounds echoing through the dense jungle. Relief flooded through her, but it was quickly overshadowed by the worry for Charlie, the crocodile who had bravely defended her. She hesitated for a brief moment, glancing back at the spot where he lay, knowing she had to make a choice, stay with Charlie, who had risked everything for her, or run toward her family, who were desperately searching for her. The sounds of her parents' voices grew louder, and a knot tightened in her stomach as she thought about the sacrifice Charlie had made. Charlie, I'll be back. I promise, she shouted, her voice filled with both sorrow and determination. It was as if she was trying to communicate with him without being able to see his eyes, yet she could feel a connection pulling her back, urging her to stay. Charlie, lying by the riverbank, watched her with a deep understanding that seemed to transcend words. He had fought for her safety, but now it was her turn to seek the comfort of her family, to find solace in their love and warmth. With a final glance back, she sprinted toward the sound of her parents. The jungle, once a confusing maze, now felt familiar as she weaved through the trees and underbrush. Mom! Dad, she called out, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. She could hear the frantic rustling of leaves as they moved closer, and with each step, her heart beat faster, urging her to reach them. Every second felt like an eternity, but finally, she burst into a clearing where her parents stood, worry etched on their faces. Lily, her mother cried, rushing forward to embrace her. The warmth of her mother's arms enveloped Lily, and for a moment, she felt safe again. Oh, thank goodness you're okay. We were so worried. Her father joined in, holding her tightly as if he was afraid to let go. The relief she felt was overwhelming, but it came with an undercurrent of guilt for leaving Charlie behind. Mom, Dad, I'm fine, but there's someone I need to tell you about, Lily said breathlessly, pulling away from their embrace. She quickly explained everything, how she had wandered off, how she met Charlie, the brave crocodile who had protected her from the wild boar, and how he was now hurt and alone. "We have to go back for him. He needs our help." Her words tumbled out in a rush, fueled by a mix of urgency and emotion. Her parents exchanged concerned glances. "A crocodile, Lily," her father said, raising an eyebrow. "Are you sure he's safe? We don't know how wild animals will react." "Please, you don't understand. He saved me," Lily pleaded, her eyes wide with desperation. "He didn't hurt me at all. He was protecting me. If it weren't for him, I don't know what would have happened." Her mother knelt down to look into Lily's eyes, sensing her deep bond with the creature. "Okay, sweetheart, we'll go back," she said softly, "but we have to be careful. We don't want to put ourselves in danger." Lily nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you. We have to hurry. He might still be there." They began the trek back through the jungle, and with each step, Lily felt a mix of anticipation and dread. What if Charlie was gone? What if he was hurt more than she realized? Would he even remember her? As they navigated the underbrush, Lily's thoughts raced, imagining what she would say to Charlie when they found him. When they arrived back at the riverbank, the sun was starting to dip low in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the scene. "Charlie!" Lily called, her voice ringing through the air. She stepped cautiously to the edge of the water, her heart pounding. The memories of their encounter flooded her mind, the way he had looked at her, the fierce growl that had protected her, the trust they had forged in such a short time. As she peered into the water, a sense of despair began to creep in. "What if he's gone?" she whispered to her parents. But just as the thought threatened to overwhelm her, she caught a glimpse of movement. There, resting on the riverbank, was Charlie, his scales glistening in the fading light, and despite the evident wounds on his body, he looked up as if he had been waiting for her return. "Charlie!" Lily exclaimed, rushing toward him without a second thought. She knelt by his side, her hands shaking slightly as she reached out to touch him. Charlie responded with a soft grunt, and she could see in his eyes that he recognized her. "I'm so glad you're okay." Tears welled in her eyes as she examined his wounds, realizing how brave he had been. She could see the marks left by the boar, but Charlie still seemed to hold on to his spirit. "Mom, we need to help him," Lily cried, looking up at her parents, who were now standing a few steps back, uncertain of how to assist the crocodile. Her father stepped forward cautiously, understanding the bond between the girl and the creature. "All right, let's see what we can do." He carefully approached Charlie, assessing the wounds. "We should clean these cuts and find something to bandage them with." Lily rummaged through her backpack, pulling out a water bottle and some fabric she had brought along. "I can help," she said, determination shining in her eyes. Together, they worked to clean Charlie's wounds as gently as they could, Lily talking to him the whole time. "You're going to be okay, Charlie. I'm here now, and I won't leave you again." Charlie seemed to relax under her touch, closing his eyes as if he understood her words, trusting her completely. As they cleaned his wounds, Lily's heart swelled with gratitude and affection for the crocodile. She had never imagined that she could feel such a strong bond with a wild animal, but Charlie had proven that love and loyalty could transcend any boundaries. He had risked his life for her, and now it was her turn to care for him. After applying makeshift bandages with the fabric, her mother gently patted Lily on the shoulder. "You've done a great job, sweetie," she said softly, her eyes filled with pride. "You really showed a lot of bravery today." Lily smiled, but her concern for Charlie lingered. "What if he can't get back to the water?" she asked, looking at the crocodile. "What if he's too hurt to swim?" "We can help him get back to the river," her father suggested. "If we work together, we can make sure he's safe." With that, they carefully maneuvered around Charlie, gently nudging him toward the water's edge. Lily was right there by his side, whispering encouragement, her heart racing with both fear and hope. Charlie, despite his injuries, seemed to understand, slowly pushing himself toward the river with a strength that surprised them all. Finally, with one last push, Charlie slid back into the cool water, letting out a low grunt of satisfaction. Lily watched as he floated, grateful to see him swimming again, even if it was with some effort. "You did it, Charlie. You're going to be okay." Lily cheered, her heart soaring with happiness. Charlie turned back to look at her, and in that moment, they shared a deep understanding. He might be a crocodile, but in that wild jungle, they were friends, united by an unbreakable bond forged in the face of danger. Lily knew that as long as she had Charlie by her side, she would never feel alone again. As the sun began to set, casting an orange glow over the river, Lily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had found her way back to her family, and she had also discovered a friend in the most unexpected place. This day had changed her forever, opening her eyes to the beauty of connection, empathy, and love that could exist between even the most unlikely companions. "Let's come back tomorrow," she said to her parents, her voice full of hope. "We can bring some more food for Charlie and check on him." Her mother nodded, smiling at her daughter's compassion. "That sounds like a wonderful idea, Lily. We can make sure he's healthy and happy." As they turned to leave, Lily took one last look at Charlie, who was now resting in the water, his eyes half closed in contentment. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. She waved goodbye, knowing that this wasn't the end of their adventure, but just the beginning of a lifelong friendship that would blossom in the heart of the jungle. With her family by her side, Lily felt a sense of belonging and purpose that filled her heart with joy. They walked home together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, but knowing that together they could conquer anything, especially with a brave crocodile watching over them from the riverbank. As Lily sprinted through the thick underbrush of the jungle, her heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. She could hardly believe that she was returning to the place where she had faced her fears and formed an unlikely bond with Charlie, the brave crocodile who had saved her. The jungle, once a source of terror, now felt like a familiar friend. Her parents, keeping pace behind her, shared her determination to find Charlie and ensure he was safe. They had listened to Lily's heartfelt story about their encounter and the courage Charlie had shown, and they were ready to embrace this adventure together. When they finally reached the spot where Lily had first met Charlie, she called out his name, her voice echoing through the trees. "Charlie! Where are you?" Her parents stood by her side, watching her with curiosity and concern. Would Charlie remember her? Would he be okay after the fight with the boar? The jungle seemed to hold its breath as they waited, anticipation hanging in the air. Just as doubt began to creep into her mind, she heard a soft rustling nearby. With her heart pounding, Lily turned her head toward the sound. Emerging from the shadows of the mangroves was Charlie, his scales glistening in the dappled sunlight. He appeared cautious but curious, and when he spotted Lily, his eyes brightened, and he slowly moved closer. Lily could hardly contain her joy. "Charlie," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. Charlie approached her cautiously, but Lily could see that the fierceness from their last encounter had softened. He moved slowly, almost as if he was testing the waters, unsure if he could trust her family. Lily knelt down, opening her arms wide. "It's okay, Charlie. We're here to help you." With that invitation, Charlie's hesitation faded away, and he waddled closer, nuzzling against her. Tears of relief streamed down Lily's face as she felt the familiar warmth of their bond wash over her again. Her parents stepped forward, amazed by the sight of their daughter and the crocodile sharing such a tender moment. "He looks like he needs some care," Lily's mother said gently, kneeling beside her. "We can help him, sweetie. Let's see what we can do." They had come prepared with supplies, a first aid kit, fresh fruits, and even some fish. Lily had insisted they bring food, knowing how much Charlie loved to eat. As they tended to Charlie's wounds, carefully cleaning and bandaging the cuts he had received during the fight with the boar, Lily talked to him softly. "You're so brave, Charlie. You protected me. Thank you for being my friend." Her voice was full of warmth, and she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the creature who had shown her the true meaning of loyalty. Once they finished treating him, Charlie nibbled on the fish, clearly grateful for the meal. Lily laughed, delighted to see him enjoying the food. She knew they were beginning a new chapter together, one that involved not only her family and Charlie but also a promise to protect the jungle they all called home. As they prepared to leave, Lily looked back at Charlie, who watched her with a gaze full of trust and affection. She knew that this friendship would last a lifetime. From that day forward, Lily and her family made regular visits to the jungle, ensuring Charlie was safe and loved. Together, they created a bond that transcended the differences between a girl and a crocodile, a bond that taught them all about love, courage, and the unexpected friendships that can arise in the most extraordinary circumstances. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell.